Hello, my friends. My name is Ryan Freeman, and you're watching episode 21 of my first backpacking trip to Europe. Thank you for sticking with me. I hope that you like this story. I arrived in Prague. This was the destination that my Uncle Bob and I were originally headed for when we started backpacking and hitchhiking. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it. If you watched that episode where he got pickpocketed in Munich, and he left me, and I carried on and went to Vienna and then to Brno, and now finally I arrive in Prague at a bus station without an address, without a guidebook, without any knowledge of the city itself. Just the carefree 21-year-old, doesn't know how much money he has left, knows it's getting pretty low, and this is going to be probably his last leg of the trip. So I inquired at the ticket booth to see if anyone spoke English, and I asked, Hostel, and they couldn't speak English. But to my great luck, there were a couple British girls, I believe, right next to me, buying a ticket, getting out, and they overheard me, and they say, "You're looking for a hostel? We just left a hostel. It's great. Here's the address. Here's the directions." Thank God I happened to connect with these British girls, found the hostel they were talking about. It was called Hostel Elf, and it was a little on the outskirts of Prague, not in the center, a bit of a walk from the old town, and luckily for me, there were only 2 vacant spots from those British girls who left. It was very full. So I got a dorm bed, put my backpack in the locker, hung out at the hostel, it was getting late afternoon, started checking out who was there. I noticed a long brown-haired girl with nice legs and a nice face. And she definitely appeared to be the most attractive girl in the hostel. And so, of course, tried to attract her attention with eye contact. Not too obviously, but she obviously was not interested in me. I said, oh well. Tonight, I am going out to the bars in central Prague. I had heard about a 5-floor discotheque where they play different music on each floor. I was going to hit the town and just have fun. But before I would do that, I would warm up at the hostel drinking Budweiser Budvar. That is the original Budweiser from the Czech Republic. The Czech Republic has a long tradition of beer, famous for Pilsner and the original Budweiser. So I'm drinking the original Budweiser, chilling out in the early evening. Lots of people collecting, very eclectic group of people staying at the hostel, people from all over, from Asia, from Europe, from Oceania, from North America, and just enjoying the overall vibe. There's probably more than a dozen people in this room. And then walks in that brown-haired girl, the long brown-haired girl with the brown eyes and the nice legs, and that I was trying to attract her eye contact, yet she was having none of it. Well, she comes in and sits next to me, but with her back turned to me as she's talking to a blonde-haired girl. Still, no interest towards me, has her back to me. Oh well, I'm drinking the Budweiser Budvar, enjoying the scene, chatting with people every now and then. And then suddenly I overhear the brown-haired and the blonde-haired girl's conversation, and I overhear a phrase where someone says, free weed. Free weed. And just as a reflex, I said, free weed? What free weed? Not that I'm like a huge pot smoker. I mean, I smoke it with my friends at that time, but it was just such a strange phrase to say, free weed. I never had heard of that. So I said, what free weed? And the blonde girl that the brown-haired girl was talking to turns to me with a big smile and says, there's no such thing as free weed, and tells me about their conversation, and then suddenly changes her seat so that now we're sitting kind of like a triangle with the blonde-haired girl, me, and the brown-haired girl. And the brown-haired girl is a little annoyed that I've entered their conversation. And, you know, you go through the pleasantries. Hi, where are you from? When they find out that I'm from America, the brown-haired girl is even less interested in me because we had invaded Iraq that year, and there were some Europeans who sort of had a prejudice against Americans for that. The blonde-haired girl, her name was Silke. She was from Canada, And the brown-haired girl that I was interested in was named Monica, and she was from Poland. Anyways, we start talking. It appears that the blonde-haired Silke is very interested in me. She's smiling, kind of, when you're talking to someone and they're giving you a lot of energy. And so we're enjoying the conversation. But the brown-haired girl, Monica, the Polish girl that I'm interested in, is still very standoffish. And then suddenly she asked me, when were you born? And I said, day after Valentine's Day. And she said, huh? I said, I thought, oh, maybe you don't have Valentine's Day in Poland, huh? February 15. And she says, what year? And I said, 1982. And she said, get your passport. And I said, this is really weird. And the blonde-haired girl, Silke, says, the Canadian says, yeah, she asked me when I was born as well. And Monica says, I ask everyone when they were born. Anyways, I go get my passport. She grabs it from my hands. This girl who wanted nothing to do with me, suddenly she's very interested in my birth date. She's checking my passport to make sure I'm correct. I still have no idea what's going on. And she says, and suddenly everything changed between me and Polish Monica. Suddenly she was very interested in me. It appears that, it comes apparent. She tells us that she asks everyone she meets, when were you born? Because she had been searching for years and years and years of her life for someone who was born the same exact day and year as her. And so as it would happen, I'm thinking just a coincidence that we were both born on February 15, 1982. Me and this girl who I'd been trying to attract her attention all day suddenly is now very interested in me because her lifelong quest of finding someone born on the same exact day and year has finally come true, and it's an American of all people. And so we laugh about how funny it is because you were so turned off that I was an American man, and I thought she might have been a hardcore feminist or just anti-American because she was really standoffish. But now she's very interested in me. And the dynamic in this triangle changed. Now, Silke's a little jealous that now me and Monica have this really big connection, and we start talking, and as we're talking, and as Monica opens up to me, and as I open up to Monica, Silke starts to fade a little more in the background, and Monica starts finishing my sentences. Monica and I start to have this weird connection that I had never experienced before with another person. Not a man nor a woman, where we started almost reading each other's minds. It was really strange. And then I started talking about my favorite topic at that time, which was fate and destiny, which I had talked about in previous episodes. And I go, this feels like fate, Monica, that we met here in Hostel Elf. I feel like this is part of your destiny, part of my destiny. Something very powerful is happening right now. And she's like, I don't know. Like, the idea of fate she wasn't really settled on, even though she still is very surprised and very happy that she has finally met someone born the same day and year as her, and we're having this crazy connection. Silke, the blonde, is like, no, there's no such thing as fate. There's no such thing as destiny. So we're having this conversation. And along through the conversation, my left hand is just sort of like rifling through the magazines that are on the table in front of me, and I find a little box, slightly larger than a matchbox, and I open the box and I find 3 marijuana joints, and I say, what? You say there's no such thing as fate or destiny. How? Okay, so you just met me, your star brother now, born under the same stars. You've been searching all your life. How did I get into this conversation? Now we're talking about fate, but how did I enter into this conversation? Someone said free weed, and I said, what free weed? Now look what I found. Free weed. Not only free weed, but 3 joints. 3 joints. And suddenly at that point, Silke had a heart attack because she was very, not only against me and Monica, our connection, but she was against the idea of fate. And so she looks at me like I've done something very deceiving, like I've played a trick on her. And she says, "That's yours. You put it there. Those are your joints." I said, "Nope. Nope, I don't carry weed with me. I don't even know how to roll a joint. I found this in a box under the magazines." And she says, "Well, it must be someone else's." I say, so we ask the people that are sitting around us. There's, a handful, 10 people or so, but who have sort of faded off in the background. It's not anyone's weed. And I say, no. Destiny, fate is real. The universe actually is magical. And now it is our fate to smoke these joints. I mean, what are the chances? What are the chances that you ever find free weed? I've never found free weed before. I know it does happen. What are the chances you find free weed in the middle of a conversation on fate where you entered into the conversation with the phrase free weed and someone says there's no such thing? What are the chances that during that conversation you find out that one person is born the same exact day and year as you? What are the chances that you guys start reading each other's minds and finishing each other's sentences? I mean, at some point we say, okay, coincidences happen all the time, and our pattern recognizing brain can sometimes attribute it to supernatural phenomenon that has no bearing in science. But also sometimes there are such meaningful coincidences that we must say, this is synchronicity. This is something that defies whatever laws that we are currently aware of in our understanding of how the universe works. So I found these three free joints. Fate is real. The universe has spoken. We need to smoke these. And Silke says, absolutely not, grabs the joints, and refuses to let us smoke them. She says, these don't belong to you. They don't belong to anyone else. They must belong to someone. No one is smoking these. So she was upset about a confluence of factors, eventually leaves and goes to bed, leaving me and Monica, unfortunately not smoking those joints because I thought that would have been a really good capstone to the whole conversation. But anyways, now I'm with my star sister, Monica, the girl I've been interested in all day. The idea of going to the club in Prague has now disappeared. We're in the bosom of Hostel Elf on this comfortable couch, drinking Budweiser Budvar, the original Budweiser, talking, and now suddenly our connection is growing even more. Suddenly she's sitting on my lap while we're drinking. Suddenly we're drinking from the same bottle. Then she makes a suggestion, let's spit in the bottle, swirl it around, and drink it. So she spits in the bottle, I spit in the bottle, swirls it around. I've never done this with anyone else. And we both drink each other's saliva mixed with the beer. So this was the craziest. This is something that really happened to me. This isn't something that I made up. This is a real person. This is a person that from this encounter changed the way that I look at life, and someone that, someone who rocked my world as I rocked her world, someone who I kept in contact with for years and years and years. And eventually, actually 5 years after this, I actually go and meet her in Asia. But that's another story. That's another story for another day. This is her last night of travel, and tomorrow, the next day, she's going home to Poland. So in the late hours of the night, 2:30, 3 o'clock, we exchange addresses, kiss each other goodnight. And the next day, she's gone, and I start for my first real day of exploring Prague, where many more adventures come my way. Now, thank you for watching episode 21. Thank you for sticking with me. I hope you like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you on the next episode. My name is Ryan. Bye.